Hey there, YouTube! Here with another Naruto and RWBY What If? This is a story where, in RWBY's desperation to save Pyrrha, she woke a power within her silver eyes that manifested a hero from one of her favorite fairy tales, Naruto Uzumaki. How will Naruto, at his peak strength, shape the course of events in RWBY? Before we begin, if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. Over 80% of my viewers aren't subscribed, a massive improvement over the last time I checked, so thank you all for that so much. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed the chapter, and leave a comment. Not for the algorithm, but that does help. Since I write these stories, feedback helps tremendously and helps me keep focused on the tales. Now sit back, relax, and click on that link below if you want to read along. Here is part 1 of A Fairy Tale of the Sun. He had become incredibly bored, filled with an anxious energy, wanting to release it. But alas, there was nothing Naruto could currently do. Naruto was a mess at this current time, sweat dripping from his pores, finishing his mundane workout. Still, it wasn't enough to release the pent-up energy he felt within. Maybe he needed Hinata. Damn, she's working out the details with her clan, he muttered to himself, brushing his hand through his hair. Were you really ready for this? Am I? He sighed softly as he gazed through the thicketed trees and towards the clouded sky. For as excited as Naruto was for finally having someone who wanted to be with him, he was coming to terms with that sensation. Did he have feelings for Hinata? He wasn't so sure. There was a sensation when she nearly sacrificed herself to protect him. That reaction was the most visceral Naruto had experienced. And then there was the incident with Tonari kidnapping Hinata. But there was still this lingering feeling that he wasn't sure how to describe. Was she the one for him? For so long, Naruto had thought Sakura was the one, but he had long given up on her when she was so strictly hung up on Sasuke. He began looking elsewhere, noticing others, recognizing that the others were beautiful and he had been missing out. How did he not notice Ino was so busty and that she had a kicking figure? It was a damn shame that she and Sai were now a couple. Temari accentuated her hips with those wonderful outfits. No wonder why Shikamaru and she were a thing now. Or Tenten with her lovely supple behind. And oh, what was he thinking about in the moment? This wasn't helping him. It was only adding to his anxiety and his issues. He would have to fix this issue later himself. A cold shower wouldn't be enough, unfortunately. He wanted to see what Hinata was like, but he refrained from their play as per her wishes. She wanted to wait until the moment was right, and that was fair, but he was ready to bust now, filled with raw, masculine. Was this how Jiraiya felt all the time? Was this why he always went to the hot springs in the red light districts, admiring all the women, enjoying them? I'm starting to understand Pervy Sage more and more by the day, Naruto muttered, taking a deep breath before a light smile graced his lips. Wonder if he found a bathhouse in the pure world. Probably has. Chuckling at his words, letting the sun rays wash over him through the foliage. A content sensation washed over Naruto, almost as if he felt his master's presence with him one more time. Yeah, this does feel right, but I can't help but feel a little off, you know? Naruto spoke, his eyes closing as the sun caressed his cheeks. A lot has happened. Things have changed, but everything is going alright. Just trying to adjust to everything now. Kakashi is running the village well. Still has a heavy void in his life without your books, however. Might have to pull out that old script we wrote together on a trip to keep him happy. Naruto golfed, a smirk crossing his lips as he lowered his head, his spiky bangs covering his eyes. Tsunade finally stepped down and is running the hospital full time. But you know, it feels without you here, it feels like she hasn't been the same either. That she misses you. So do I. Despite everything, I will follow in your footsteps and live up to your legacy. living up to what you hoped I could become, and now I've come to an impasse. Naruto returned his gaze to the sky, and his eyes reopened. A confused glint was in them. You know, I'm not sure if this is what I want. I've worked so hard for all of this, and I have someone who loves me, but I can't say the same myself. You always told me to play the field and find that special person. Funny enough, Tsunade has been mirroring what you said all those times, that I should slow down. Take my time and make sure Hinata is the one. Explore my options and check out some of the village's women. I'm not sure how I feel about that, Naruto frowned before letting out a chuckle. You sure haven't been whispering to her in her sleep, have ya? Sounds like something you would say. Besides saying, lotion's in the basket. Otherwise, everything has been mostly fine. Still learning from the seals from the scrolls you left behind me. And from the Uzumaki Manor here that you conveniently forgot to mention to me. Naruto barked, holding back his vitriol. Well, got a new clansman to help me with that. Even if she always shows up now and then. Strangely, we have a good relationship with Odo and Orochimaru now. Not sure how to feel about that after everything he's done. Feeling the wind blow and a gentle caress on his cheek, he closed his eyes. It was almost as if he was receiving a calming answer from his master. But then the wind picked up. The velocity increased to such a degree his eyes snapped open as he braced himself, planting his feet to the ground with chakra. Was he under attack? With wind? There were only so few people who were attuned with wind, so someone attacking him with it was bold. He was one of the most powerful people in the world who could use all the elements, and wind was his specialty. So who would be so bold? Why am I glowing? Naruto immediately caught something unusual as a wild vortex whirled around him. It wasn't the usual glow he was accustomed to. This wasn't a gold energy from Kurama's golden cloak when he used that chakra. The fox was quiet within him, taking a nap to recover energy after the battle against Tonari, since he had to expend a significant amount. It was silver? What was this? While it was emanating from where he expected, his right prosthetic arm, he was still surprised. The mark had reappeared beneath the wrapping and was glowing vibrantly. Was Hagoromo trying to reach him once more? Was Sasuke having the same reaction? Should he find his friend to see what the situation was? Did another Otosuki arrive for them to deal with? He knew it hadn't recharged since the last time he had used it, and the power was slowly reoccurring, but to suddenly surge like this once more. He may need to sit down and meditate. Maybe that would allow him to reach the old man if he was trying to contact him. Where are you, Sasuke? Naruto flicked his left hand through his hair, noticing the glow engulf him as the wind swallowed him. Is this what's happening to you too? Hope this has something to do with the old man Hagoromo. But if it doesn't, at least I'm not going to be bored for a while. Naruto tried to spin an upbeat tale on this, as if this was what he expected. He would be talking to the old man here in a minute. How wrong he was when the silver blinding light filled the entire forest, and he heard a scream that caught him off guard. No! And his life changed as Uzumaki Naruto disappeared from the forest. Only a trace of silver specks of light lingering where he once remained. She was too late. She had come to help her friend after hearing from John what had happened. Finding out who had caused all of this, only to lock him into a locker and send him to Vale. Fearing he would be in danger, he joined her, to face it all alone. Ruby did not want to leave her alone. She had to help her, join her. But now, even with Weiss's assistance to climb the tower, her friend burned, seared a golden hue as the woman she had run into at this very tower months earlier placed her hand on her. This was all her fault. She could have stopped this all those months ago. Had she realized it was this woman all along. But now she was watching her friend burn alive before her eyes and couldn't react. Fear froze her in place and gripped Ruby's heart. All she wanted to do was help her friends, enjoy their time together, be her team's leader. But now, during this crisis, she couldn't do anything to save her friend. She was worthless, unworthy. All she wanted was to protect everyone that mattered to her. After what she saw was pain, she didn't want to see it happen again. And yet, why couldn't she be a heroine like her mother? A hero like her father, like Uncle Crow? She was a failure. She couldn't even live up to all those stories they read to her when she was a child. To the greatest hero of all in her fairy tales. One that her mother loved to read to her again over and over. The Brothers of the Sun and Moon. Silver light gleamed within her eyes. A single wish filled her heart as tears stained her cheeks. Roses burst from around her as she dashed forward, crescent rose in hand. She pushed past her fear even as her head felt like it was splitting apart. Ruby refused to give up. She couldn't. Not until every breath was drawn from her. Until their weapons and shields lay broken before them. She would not yield. Para! No! Falling to her knees right before her goal, Ruby screamed as silver light erupted from her eyes and engulfed the tower, bathing everyone in its light. Everything to get to this moment had been so glorious, so meticulous, and while agonizing at times, it finally came to fruition. She was a Fall Maiden. The plan had fallen into place. Chaos reigned in the streets of Vale. Meanwhile, she knew the city and the school could very well recover. She was one step closer to her goal. Once she eliminated this pest, Cinder could reach her next goal and find them. Pyrrha! No! Another pest to stamp out. Cinder let out a pitiful sigh. Predictable. The girls of roses that caused Roman so much trouble. Of course it would be her. He couldn't take care of her yet again. Why have the others around if I have to do it all myself? Yet the moment her eyes turned to react to the girl, confident she could handle anything the young huntress could throw her direction, something happened that she wasn't expecting. Cinder's eyes widened. The girl fell onto her knees before her. What was this? Was she already giving up? This thought made her smirk. As she realized she was already too late, a silver glow emanated from the girl, and it was far too late. Cinder was engulfed within it. She stumbled within its blinding rays. What is this? Cinder screamed, feeling an intense burn raging throughout her being. The intensity caused her skin to feel like it was smoldering and self-immolating. Like her, the power she had just obtained spontaneously were used against her and set her ablaze. What was this light? Why was it causing the power she had to rebel against? Breathing and panting heavily as the light faded, her vision blurred and Cinder snarled. This would not do. That girl would not be allowed to humiliate and harm her like this. She would finish her just like this red-haired brat, set the world on fire, and she would burn. And the air rushed from her lungs. A familiar sensation buried itself into her sternum. One she hadn't felt in quite some time. It was a fist. She knew that shape, but what she couldn't believe was she felt every inch of it, and it rippled through her entirety. Her aura crackled as she felt her head and back smack into solid stone and metal. She went through it. What was this? Who could hit her this hard? Heat burned around her. Fire erupted from her hands as she steadied and halted the momentum. Floating in the air, amber eyes burned furiously, seething as a new figure stood on the tower, sternly gazing upon her and locking his brilliant cerulean gaze with hers. Standing before her goal, Cinder would treat him like she treated everyone else, like the ant he truly was. Where was he? What was it? As the silver light faded, there was something he had not expected. Frown of form. Okay, this wasn't what he predicted. Instead of standing before Hagaroma once more, expecting to hear some imminent danger was upon them once again. Was Naruto on the top of a tower? In a burning city? Was that a wyvern flying in the sky? And was that a girl being seared alive? What was any of this? He didn't want to jump to conclusions, but looking at her resigned face and the setting around him, Naruto acted on gut instinct. It was a swift movement. Applying chakra to his fist, he separated the woman standing over the wounded warrior. It was more than enough to do what it needed. It wasn't even the strongest hit he could deliver, but it was more than enough. He noticed an odd crackle around her as she was sent flying through the wreckage that spread through this tower and over the edge. But when a flare of burning energy seared around her, a fire burned from her palms of her hand, correcting her momentum and allowing her to float to the sky. Naruto simply gazed at the woman. Those eyes. He knew those eyes well. The eyes that desired revenge at all costs. They held a seething, burning rage and were willing to do whatever it took to achieve it, and burn everything in her way. Naruto knew she was likely someone at fault for burning the city. He could feel that within his very soul. He would not let her get away with this, but first, he would not give her the dignity of allowing her to take her prey. If he indeed had his full array of powers back, it would be a simple matter of how to reverse what she had done, as Naruto placed his right hand on the glowing warrior. It's two, the girl's words echoed in his ears as golden flakes flickered off her skin. Nothing could save her at this point. This was her destiny. A gasp escaped her lips as something pulsed through her, a strange aura she had never experienced before. But the heat she felt within evaporated, vanished, cooled. Her eyes shimmered. The glow was no more. The flakes were no longer. Naruto's hand moved from her forehead, and her head snapped before her. She couldn't believe this. He had reverted what she had done to her? Healed the burns in an instant? Pyrrha's gaze turned to him, astonishment written on her face. Who are you? Naruto only smiled, noticing a second young girl kneeling beside them, looking up, stunned silence, her mouth moving but words failing to form. Strangely, despite what he had done, her eyes quivered at his presence and not his actions. He would note that for later, as every time he had performed such a miracle before, it had surprised all around him. And those silver eyes, that receding silver glow within them, it matched the glow he saw surround him. Well, he had some clues to go on now. To those who are my friends and in need of assistance, they call me Uzumaki Naruto. For my enemies and those who cause chaos, Naruto grinned before gazing at the woman floating in the sky, stunned at the reversal of the damage he had inflicted. They can call me their worst nightmare. All the ants dare oppose me today? Cinder's voice echoed as she snarled, a fire burning around her before she darted towards him, with a blazing trail behind her. Fine! I will burn all of you to ashes! Two glass swords forged within the heat of her hands, her intent cleared, but not as clear as the stunned surprise as her wrist was clasped to the side, her amber eyes meeting orange eyes as she turned her head. The disbelief in her gaze was all that he needed to see. She was far too confident in her skills and couldn't comprehend how he was already at her side. This wasn't even going to be a challenge for him. With a flick of his arm upward and then down, he carefully tossed her through the tower with precision. He sensed that no one was inside, so there was no harm in throwing her through the entire building. Before realizing the shockwave of his toss nearly sent both the black-haired and the red-haired girls flying, he wins. He could see they were trained to an extent, but he underestimated how strong this form was. He hadn't used it in quite some time and never tried to use it against anyone who couldn't handle it before. Naruto hadn't even put much effort into the toss, as he wasn't aiming to kill the woman. He wanted her alive, so she would face the consequences of her actions. Death was often a mercy, one he was not willing to oblige in just yet. He wanted to know, after seeing those eyes, could he? Gazing upon the scene, a brilliant golden glow erupted around him, and everything came into focus. The negativity was crushing this place. Strange creatures roamed the city. Bandits were attacking civilians alongside them, with only a few defending everyone. There was so much to do, so much they could do. Shadow Clone no Jutsu, was a whisper. Several copies emerged around him. They didn't need to be told twice. They knew exactly what to do as they dispersed in flickers of golden light. This was a crisis, and while he wasn't sure what was happening or where he was, Naruto knew what to do. Save as many people as he could from this invasion. It reminded him all too much of when the sound invaded Konoha. A scream echoed as fire ruptured from the hole he sent the woman down into. Naruto pursed his lips in amusement. Was she seriously coming up with the same path he had knocked her down? That was the least tactical thing she could do in this situation. Did the rage within her burn so brightly that she lost all thought? A roar caught his attention, and darkness descended upon him. It had two massive wings and sharp teeth. Alright, Wyvern! Naruto took his attention away from Cinder while 9 balls forged around him. One sending through the beast, while another descended directly in the path she was coming from. A massive hole opened through the wyvern and blew the giant creature back. An intense flash of flames that shot from the pit, melting everything into its path, was suddenly drawn into the orb, wrapping around it like the core of a star, absorbing the heat until nothing was left. Only for Cinder to burst past it, flying with her blades at the ready, to stop once more as she was caught in his grasp by the throat. What was this kid? And why was he glistening gold like he had transformed? Cinder's world darkened as she felt another blow connect to her temple. But as she fell to the earth below, she saw something that horrified her. The ancient Grimm fell from the sky as the person who had interfered with her created something she couldn't fathom. An attack generating so much pressure that Naruto had raised his right hand into the air, a single blue orb forming at first. Then 3 more developed, orbiting around it. Might be overkill here if it could take that hit. But to ensure this thing doesn't come back, I'm gonna leave nothing behind. Naruto focused on the wyvern and made his move. The world stood still as he vanished from sight, only for him to reappear before the falling wyvern. Once more, the attack in hand as he drove it into it. It disintegrated as a shockwave that obliterated it down to every molecule made contact. A gale ripped through Beacon, shifting and swaying the tower as the explosion tore through the Grimm, turned it to dust. Glass shattered in every building. Many people were blown back and carried by the winds, and the clouds in the heavens above were parted. Pain filled every fiber of her body. Cinder lay in agony on the cold concrete below her. The sky was torn asunder by that golden boy. Her goal was so close to fruition, but he had to come out of nowhere. After the girl arose and that strange silver light inflicted such pain upon her. Now, all she could do was barely breathe and budge in the crater she laid in. She couldn't keep flying from that blast. It was too overwhelming. In the moment she was able to regain a semblance of control, blood dripped from her temple, pulling behind her. She was sure she hit head first. Not the most elegant way to land, but she was alive. She still had her scroll. Thanks to Arthur, she had a closed network and could contact her team. If she could reach it, she could call for Emerald and Mercury. You know it's over, right? Cinder froze, her hand that was desperately reaching up towards her pocket, where she kept her scroll. That voice. Had he already found her? No! This couldn't be how it ended. Not after everything she had suffered. For it to end like this world deserved to burn. Share in her pain. You've been through a lot, haven't you? Naruto's empathetic voice resonated. I feel such great negativity coming from you, but there's more, isn't there? I can feel it. I saw it earlier when our gazes met. If you want to talk, what would you ever know about suffering? Cinder gaze met with his, binding the boy, now in the state she first saw him. You know nothing. Do not speak of me of things you cannot fathom. This world will share in my misery and burn for it. It will suffer for its crimes. Her fury only grew brighter. He dared give her a knowing smile. She would have his head. I might understand more than you would ever know. Naruto's voice was but a whisper, walking towards her with purpose. A single blade was pulled from his pouch. But I've grown to know the damage that kind of will can do. I'm not willing to let others suffer for it. Not suffer for the same mistakes again. Cinder's eyes shimmered as cold steel was the last thing she saw. That and a pair of cerulean eyes that held a pitying glint within. I'm sorry it had to be this way. Ruby was assisted by Pyrrha was walking down towards the evacuation point. They were both thoroughly shaken by what had taken place, unable to express what they had seen or had felt. Ruby had so many questions. She knew Pyrrha had them too, but it wasn't like she could answer any of them. How could she explain anything that happened? That she believed that she summoned Ruby! Pyrrha! Weiss's voice echoed in Ruby's ears, her teammate rushing towards them before noticing their condition. You both were mostly okay. Thank Here, let me help. Ruby is in worse condition than I am. Pyrrha tilted her head towards Ruby. That guy did something to me. Restored me. I shouldn't be standing here right now. Seeing the downtrodden expression and forlorn gaze coming from Pyrrha, Weiss flinched before nodding. Helping with Ruby, moving her to Blake's side, she softly smiled at her friend. I'm just so glad to see you both made it back. After that explosion, I was so worried. What was that? Blake growled, looking displeased, her bow depressed, refraining from looking over towards the unconscious member of their team. She was already guilty enough. Both Ruby and Pyrrha grimaced, glancing at one another. They were unsure of how to express what had happened. Blake scowled at this action. They knew something and she was about to ask, but Weiss didn't see what she did. She simply continued. Whatever it was, I'm thankful for that golden guy flickering about. He's been destroying all the remaining Grimm and fending off the rest of the White Fang simultaneously. He's like a storm, no, a maelstrom, and he looks so. Seeing a dreamy glint wash over her teammate's face, Ruby blinked. This was new. Was Weiss? Remnant to Weiss. What happened? Weiss snapped out of her stupor, scowling at her actions and frowning. What overcame me? Feel stressed and you didn't help. Blake? Why did you have to try and leave like that? You're lucky he brought you back. Don't bring me into this, Blake screeched. looking quite displeased while holding her bandaged side, before grimacing as she gazed upon Yang. We'll discuss it later. Just don't get up and leave again, got it? Weiss glared at Blake with vitriol, making her friend shrink into herself. Ruby and Pyrrha shared another glance, unsure of what had happened here. However, Ruby glanced at her teammate, knowing she would have to do some damage control later, as whatever it was. How's everything here? That voice. He was back. Ruby's eyes widened. Her head snapped towards the voice. It was him. Holding out just fine here, son, greeted Naruto with a wave and a wide smile. Don't know where you came from, but glad you came when you did. You really cleaned house. If you have some spare time after, say, we get a drink or something? It's the least we owe after saving our butts like this. Might hold you to that, Naruto gave a foxy grin, tilting his head. Doesn't sound too bad right now. That being said, there's a lot to sort out. Have quite a lot to do. With his gaze falling upon Ruby, she winced as she saw him frown. He knew she knew why he was there. He had figured it out, but she still didn't understand how, or why. Ruby was always told that her eyes were special. How could she have known that her eyes had the power to summon a character from one of her favorite fairy tales? And that is the first part of A Fairy Tale of the Sun. To all my subscribers, thank you. I'm still working on a special surprise for 200 subscribers, which is taking a little while to complete. Get me to 500 and, well, it's gonna torture me. So until next time, my friends, peace.